JAden Show, and here's your host, JAden Cornelius. Welcome to the JAden Show. Happy Sunday, guys. I'm super excited about today's show because I'm going to meet a phenomenal artist all the way from London. She has powerhouse dynamo vocals and you are going to love her. So I'm not going to keep talking because I want you to see a little bit of her. This is called Is This Love by the amazing Nathalie Miranda.
Is this love? Is this love?
I knew you'd be here tonight. I look at you and I'm affected. You got something I like. You waking up my appetite. I got you on my mind. You fascinate me in a way that I just can't define. And I've been here 100,000 times. Always the same, that's the way it goes. But I gotta know, is this love that I'm feeling? Is this love that I'm feeling tonight that I feel for you? Is this love? Am I dreaming? Woo! Is this love tonight? Oh, when I look in your eyes, I can see my soul reflected and I realize you're the only one for me. But I gotta know, is it a yes or no? Or maybe I'm losing my mind. You got me waiting on your call. Always the same, that's the way it goes, yeah. But I gotta know, is this love that I'm feeling? Is this love that I'm feeling tonight that I feel for you? Is this love? Am I dreaming? Yeah, yeah. Is this love tonight? 'Cause I've been waiting for you, baby, all my life. And I just can't let this go. 'Cause I need to hear you say 3 little words tonight. The words I'm dreaming of. Is this love? Is this love that I'm feeling? Is this love that I'm feeling tonight that I feel for you? Is this love? Am I dreaming? Yeah, yeah. Is this love tonight? Is this love? Is this love that I'm feeling? Is this love that I'm feeling tonight for you? Is this love? Am I dreaming, baby? Is this love tonight?
I told you that girl can bloody sing. Let's go and meet this week's extremely special guest, the amazing Nathalie Miranda. Nathalie Miranda, welcome to the JAden Show.
Oh, thank you so much.
How are you, lovely lady? I am super impressed. You must be knackered because you're always on it.
It's pretty full on, yeah. I did have some time off over Christmas, so that was good, and I'm ready to get going again.
Okay,
so.
what time off? Like 3/4 of an hour? Maybe.
It was like 5 days.
Oh really? Oh, that's
yeah.
God, that's a bloody age. I don't even get that.
It was quite. I decided to just really take some time off and just like watch some TV and just be a little bit lazy. But now it's January. I'm back. I'm back in the game.
Vibed up, ready to go. Vibed up. Firstly, oh my God, sister, what a voice! That's that's number one. Like, right, I was watching all your videos, and obviously, like, I'm following you on social media as well. I'm like, right, that girl can just pump it out in like a second. It's like, so I have to warm up, darling, first. I have to have a cup of lemon tea, and I'm like, oh, and you're like, oh, straight away. I'm just like, oh, this girl has got some lumps on her.
Oh,
when did you kind of Was you just like hanging at home one day after Brownies and Whitney Houston came on and you thought, I'm going to be like that? Or how did it start for you?
So I've always loved music. Like I've got like photographs of me like 2 years old holding like a plastic microphone kind of thing. So my mum tells me I used to sort of, child sing when I was little,
Really?
but as I got older, I became really, really shy, and I knew that I loved to sing, and it's what I wanted to do, but I never told anyone. So I'd be in my room and I'd turn the music up to the max and sing along so that my parents didn't hear.
Wow.
And I wanted to express myself through singing, but I just was too shy. I played the piano, classically trained on the piano for many years, but singing was always what I wanted to do. And it eventually came out at a karaoke night on holiday with my family.
Dangerous time.
I was 15. And I was like, oh my God, I just had this feeling. I was like, I have to do it now, because if I don't do it, I'm never going to do it. And my mum, bless her, I said to her, Mum, I want to sing. And she was like, what? And I was like, I want to sing, but I'm really scared. Will you do one first? And she was like, oh my God. So, and my mum's not a singer. So she was like, oh my God, okay. So she got up and did a song. And she was like, right, now it's your turn. And I was like, oh my God. So I got up and I sang Hopelessly Devoted to You from Greece.
Libby, yes,
it's such a gorgeous song. And I had my back to the audience, and they loved it. I had like a standing ovation. My parents were like, what? And that really just sort of broke the ice for me. So from then I had no excuse. I came back home. I sort of started recording demos and things like that. And yeah, it's been that ever since.
Right.
So yeah.
So when you were pumping music up to sing along in your bedroom, who was you pumping up?
Oh, so many different people. Whitney definitely was one.
Yeah.
The Bodyguard soundtrack. 100%.
Oh my God.
George Michael, Bon Jovi, Queen, Aretha, so many people, like Madonna. I could go on. Like,
okay, yeah, because you've got a real soul vibe to your voice. So I was kind of, so when you said, and I was like, hopelessly devoted, I was like, that's not the voice I'm hearing. She must have been listening to something else. Like,
oh yeah, I also had like I didn't really discover my sort of sound until quite recently, really, probably only about 10 years ago. I was never vocally trained when I was growing up, so everything I did was kind of just figuring out myself and like trying to mimic my favorite artists. But if you don't know what you're doing, like I didn't know what chest voice was until I was like 20, because no one had ever shown me. So that changed everything for me. That brought out a totally different side to my voice, a different power, a different range. So yeah, I was definitely not, I wasn't singing the correct way, if that's the way to put it, when I was younger. And that's why it took me a lot longer to find out my sound. And then I definitely got more engrossed in like Etta James, like all the blues singers like Muddy Waters and Free, Paul Rogers, people like that. That was like, this is what I have to do. And that's what I felt more like a connection with.
Yeah, that resonated.
So, yeah.
So where did the whole, because obviously I've been like caning your YouTube account, the songing in Greek.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, I'm Greek, so my family is Greek Cypriot.
Yes.
I was clearly born and raised in London, but I was raised bilingually. So being Greek is something I'm very proud of, and
Cool.
Cyprus is like my second home. And it was really important to me. I've wanted to do it for so many years. Obviously, having a very English accent and an English name, I wanted people to know that I'm not English. I'm British. Got to make that distinction, but not English. And I'm very proud of my roots. So Hiliasimathia, which means 1,000 scars, came about early last year. I wrote it with a Greek producer friend of mine who did all the production, all the instrumentation. And it was just everything I dreamed it would be.
And it's a great tune. I work with a guy called James. Have you ever heard of a guy called James Theocari?
No.
He's based in kind of North London, actually. I don't know what part of London. What are you, north, south, east, or west?
I'm north, yeah.
Yeah, he's based in North London as well. And he actually he mixed my first single.
Okay.
Amazing. And I'm sure I heard some kind of music that he was doing for Greece, actually. and it was amazing production, amazing. Google him, James Theocari, just in case.
I will.
In an area. Yeah, he was a super sound guy, a super talented boy as well. So what happened to that song? Did it become a single? Did it get released? How did it progress?
It got released in July last year, 2022. Sounds crazy saying last year.
Yeah.
But it was released. It got heavily airplayed on London Greek radio. I think it's still on rotation there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I have a video for it as well, which I just the video is all about passion and anger and like empowerment, and which is exactly what the song is about. So yeah, it's a really special moment for me, and I do plan to write and release another one this year. So, but completely different style.
Do you mind if we quickly sit back and watch that video now?
Sure, let's go for it.
Let's do it.
Βρέθηκα πάλι εδώ στην ίδια στιγμή που με έχεις κλείσει στη χρυσή σου φυλακή με κομμένα τα φτερά μου. Βρέθηκα πάλι με έναν πόνο στην καρδιά, γιατί η αγάπη σου ήταν μόνο στα χαρτιά και ήταν ένα ψέμα. Καταλαβαίνω το παιχνίδι σου καλά, τώρα σε βλέπω με τα μάτια ανοιχτά, μου φτάνει ένα βλέμμα. Να υποφέρεις όσο υπάρχω κι όσο ζω, τελικά έμαθα πως να σε εκδικηθώ, εγώ θα ζω για μένα. Στο λέω ειλικρινά, χίλια σημάδια θα σ' αφήσω, χίλια σημάδια στην καρδιά, να μετανιώσεις πως μου φέρθηκες εσύ. Χίλιες φορές να μην ξεχάσεις πως με κάνες και νιώσα εγώ, να καταλαβαίνεις πιο καλά τι έχεις κάνει. Χίλια σημάδια θα σ' αφήσω, χίλια σημάδια σοβαρά, δεν το πιστεύω πως αγάπησα εσένα. Και ως το τέλος της ζωής μου δεν θα με νοιάζει τίποτα, χίλια σημάδια στη ψυχή σου τραύματα. Όλος ο πόνος με έχει κάνει δυνατή, χωρίς εσένα θα τη ζήσω τη ζωή και θα μ' αποχαιρετήσεις. Ούτε περίμενες εσύ να ξαναβγώ από το βάθος της ψυχής το σκοτεινό που με στείλες εμένα. Για τιμωρία σου αγόρι μου γλυκό, τώρα θα κοιμάσαι με το μάτι ανοιχτό, φτηνά θα έχεις γλιτώσει και το όνομά μου θα το πεις σαν προσευχή, που θα τη λες από το βράδυ ως το πρωί, για μέρα έχεις τελειώσει. Στο λέω ειλικρινά, χίλια σημάδια θα σ' αφήσω, χίλια σημάδια στην καρδιά, να μετανιώσεις πως μου φέρθηκες εσύ. Χίλιες φορές να μην ξεχάσεις πως με κάνες και νιώσα εγώ, να καταλαβαίνεις πιο καλά τι έχεις κάνει. Χίλια σημάδια θα σ' αφήσω, χίλια σημάδια σοβαρά, δεν το πιστεύω πως αγάπησα εσένα. Και ως το τέλος της ζωής μου δεν θα με νοιάζει τίποτα, χίλια σημάδια στη ψυχή σου τραύματα.
I bloody love that song. I've got to be honest, I'm really struggling even with Spanish at the moment after living in Mexico for 8 years. So I don't understand any of it. But A voice, B tune.
Thank you so much. But I think, that's the beauty of music. Like, you don't really have to understand what
Absolutely.
anyone's saying. If you feel it, then that's the main thing.
Absolutely. But I used to be a little bit stupid when I was a kid, more so than what I am now, and didn't really understand all the American artists necessarily that I was listening to, so or even some of even I think is in Bohemian Rhapsody when they're saying da 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 for his mum's sausage tea. So I was thinking, why is he thinking about mum's sausage tea? So but I still love the track, and I used to love Eurovision Song Contest.
Yes.
Eurovision Song Contest. I didn't understand. Very rarely was my favourite song one of them in English. Yeah. So and my mum was like, "Why are you having that song? It's not even in your language." I'm like, "Because I love it, mum." My occasional syllable that I might have remembered from the track, But yeah, I loved it. But you're right, music is way bigger than language. So it's energy, it's passion, it's emotion, it's spirituality, it's everything, isn't it? So.
It is, absolutely. And I love languages. Like I studied French and Spanish at uni as well, so I'm a qualified translator as well.
Wow.
Yeah, but language, I love languages. Like if I had the time, I would go away and study loads more languages.
Wow, amazing.
So.
Well, no, I'm kind of a little bit thick, I've got to be honest. So I've been living here I can speak I could say 5 words in Spanish when I first moved here. And now I can pretty much get through like a 60% conversation probably in present tense Spanish, but
right.
hardcore, mate, especially when they chuck in like modismos, like street talk and slang.
Oh yeah, that's different everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah. And you I still do my little Duolingo lessons every single day.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anyone speak with that accent and that slow in 8 bloody years, you understand? So I'm like, I'll keep going just in case, I can say 3 green apples now, but So what is happening at this current moment? You're January 2023, you're back into it. What are you kind of working on? What have you kind of set yourself as your New Year's resolutions for your music?
Okay, so at the moment, and don't laugh, today I was working on a Christmas song. I know we've just had Christmas. However, I wrote this song 20 years ago, and I think it's about time that it became a thing. So,
you've probably been sitting on it for a while now, and I guess that a year in advance gives you time to get it sorted out, right?
I kind of I said to my producer, we have to just do this, and he was like, but it's New Year. I was like, it's got to be done. So we've done a sketch today, and he's creating, the track for me to actually record my vocals and stuff. So I want to get it done, and then I want to get the video done, all ready, like way in advance for this Christmas.
The November launch.
November launch, yeah. But aside from that, I've got a couple of other English singles I want to release this year that I've already written. I've got a Spanish single that I've already written that I want to release. So there's a lot I want to do, in no particular order. I just want to see how it feels, kind of thing. But I'd like to release at least 3 singles this year, which is what I did last year as well.
Well, when your Spanish one is up and running, I think we should have another chat and another interview. And
yes,
do it, so because like the majority of people that watch your show are English speakers, but I've got a lot of my followers are from Mexico, so they're bilingual, so it'll be
sure.
Super cool. I think we need to do a duet at some point.
Sounds good to me.
We can do it in English and Spanish. That would be really cool.
Yes.
It's really amazing because when I was singing opera and classical crossover when I was in the UK, I was ex-pop boy, went into kind of classical crossover genre. And when I came here, it was really interesting. Like my Spanish is, like I said, it's passable. It's not great. But I started listening to some of the classic rather than classical singers from Mexico, like the mariachi stuff and the banda stuff.
I love that.
Oh my gosh. And like there's some amazing singers here, like Jose, Juan Gabriel, and so I thought I'm going to start learning some of their songs. And so this little blonde tattooed white boy outside a cafe in downtown Cancun going, "Qué triste fue decirnos adiós," and singing, and like all the Mexicans are like, "Oh my God, he's a gringo, listen, he's singing in Spanish." And they go, and people come up to me and goes, "Oh, wow, you've sung that like you've been speaking Spanish for years." I said, "I don't even know what I'm singing about."
Oh,
know que triste means like what's sad, like how sad is this situation? But that's all I know actually. But because like we're going back to the early conversation where kind of music transcends lyrics and
Yes.
words and language, you feel from the, like, because it was a cover, I can feel the intense yearning and passion from the original singer in his voice and the instrumentation and the way so I didn't need to understand what that song was about. I knew that song was just about like exactly how I felt it in that moment. So it's really amazing. I've sung my dream, actually. I want to record an album, and I want to do an album of 13 songs, and every song is a different language.
Oh, that would be very cool.
I've sung in English, German, French, Italian, Spanish, Tagalog, Japanese. So yeah, but I need to find a few more languages. Maybe even a Greek song. I even tried a Maltese song at one point. That was a bit difficult. But
okay.
yeah, so I need to kind of, that's going to be my plan, to start working on an international.
Yes. And why
so
not?
when you're finished recording and you kind of just want to chill out, do you go back home and listen to the music that you're into, or do you go into a complete different genre to totally detach yourself away from what you're doing?
I quite stick to the music I love, really. I love 80s music. I mean, I wish I was 20 years older so I could have actually lived the 80s. I literally feel like I belong in that decade. I love everything about it, the music, the diversity that there was in music, the fashion, everything about it just seems to me, and my mum tells me as well, it was just a very special decade. So I love 80s music. I love Greek music as well. And I'll always stick on a Queen album because Freddie is he's my man. I have pictures of him on the wall here. Yeah, he's just he's amazing. So yeah, those are my favorite go-tos.
Wow. Okay. I remember the 80s, and I was going through adolescence in the 80s, and that weren't pretty. Acne, bad mullets, and corduroy trousers really were the best look, dude. I've got to be honest. The 90s, I was in my 20s for the 90s, and I was becoming famous then. So the 90s was amazing for me. But 80s, but now, funnily enough, I see more 80s stuff now than what I've, like I was saying, I was a classical singer. I came here with 30 tracks of classical crossover music, and I'll be singing like Nessun Dorma, and someone would tap me on the shoulder going, do you know any Whitney?
Oh my God. I'm
doing bloody Pavarotti. Oh, I dance with somebody. So now I have over 632 tracks.
Right.
And I do everything from like Show Me Heaven, Maria McKee, to Take My Breath Away, Berlin. And I'm thinking, oh my God, like all my stuff. I wasn't into it in the 80s, but now I listen to it and I'm just like, oh my God, I love singing this.
There was just something about the songwriting and the artists back then. I don't know what it is, but so I grew up in the 90s and I love the 90s. But I feel more of a connection to the 80s.
Yeah.
And
I think they used it about the magic. I think it was that. I think we had idols then, real idols. Now it's conveyor belt talent.
Do you know what? I was talking about that on a TikTok video I made not long ago. I guess you can call them legacy artists, right? So Whitney, Madonna, Michael Jackson, all of those people. Mm. And like you just said, we won't see anyone like that again now because you have someone that's kind of big for a bit. Even Ariana Grande, she's still big, obviously, but she was bigger 2 years ago, for example. And now someone else will come along, and some TikTok star will come along for like 15 minutes, and and that's not what I grew up with. So it's really strange to me to see that because I grew up with idols, with inspirations that stuck around and evolved. And changed their sound and things like that. Yeah. And now that's like seen like a bad thing to change your sound and be different. Like the amount of times I've been told, pick a sound, pick a genre and stick to it. And I'm like, why? I want to explore different parts of my creativity and my voice. And I don't want to just be the person that sings that kind of song or whatever, So yeah, I feel it's very different nowadays. So I think that's why there's a lot of nostalgia going on. No,
completely. I mean, like, when I was singing back in the 90s as well, people were like, right, you do need to pigeonhole yourself with a look and a genre and a sound. Yeah. And then I think kind of over chatting to quite a few artists over the last year with my show, it's been really interesting. Since COVID, we've kind of realized how the fragility of our industry.
Yes.
And, you know, and actually you can't really limit yourself anymore. I mean, a record company still want you to, don't get me wrong.
Oh,
but
yeah.
if you're being true to you, then you can't really limit yourself to just one genre of music and one sound and one everything. You've got to be kind of, because it could all finish tomorrow anyway, even if you just really were, you know, like on it with that, you know, that particular course of music that you were doing.
Yeah.
And now I think it's just, as long as you are you, as long as you are Nathalie Miranda and I'm JAden Cornelius, whatever you do is going to, you can sing Ave Maria and you're going to sound like some amazing soul diva. I can sing Evanescence and I'm going to sound like JAden Cornelius.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's about, now it's, for me, it's almost opened up a whole plethora of avenues that I can go down with my music, as long as I'm true to who I am.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's definitely the key, because like with my song Catch 22, which I released in 2020, that for me was the first time I released a song that felt like me. So everything I'd done before then, even though my fans really liked the few singles I'd released before, it wasn't really me. And like it just didn't, I don't know, Catch 22 was a big turning point for me. And it was and I just kind of went, you know what, I'm going to make the music I want to make. And yeah, it's not mainstream particularly, but it connects with a certain group of people. And for me, that's more important, you know, and I think that's probably my most streamed song still to date. So yeah, you know, it must have been doing something right. But
well,
if
it was resonating with you, right? So it had a complete energy.
Yeah, it really did, and it kind of captured everything I am. So I have a flair for the dramatic. I can be a bit passionate about things. You know, it's what I am. I like to overreact a bit, and Catch 22 was that. It was really dramatic pop, you know, and that's what I like to do. So I think everything after that has been just me, you know, and that's really key. As long as you're authentic and you're true to yourself, I feel that people will feel that. They'll feel that you're being yourself, and they will connect to that.
When I was younger, I was pretty skinny blonde boy, but then everyone said my voice was bland, which it was actually, to be fair. And so they were like, you know, you need to sound blacker. You need to sound blacker. I'm like, but I'm a little skinny white boy. Like, and I really didn't know how to do it. Like, I had no idea what they meant. I had no idea how to connect with my voice. I've never had a lesson in my life, so it was all very difficult. And I remember I got into Toni Braxton, and she was very kind of like, "Who do you think I am? Don't you know?" She was very kind of clipped and crying in her voice, and I kind of copied that style for a song, and called "Gotta Let Go," and they kind of liked it, and it went to this producers, and I had to go and meet this producer, and he opened the door and went, "You're JAden?" I went, "Yeah." He goes, "I was expecting some black dude to come over." He goes, "Man, you don't look like your voice. You've got to sort that shit out." I'm like, I've tried for like 4 years to get blacker. Now I've got to change it again. It's like, oh my God. So now I'm like, and I went for my first singing lesson, and, you know, doing, but when it was those, it was like, and someone said, you should be doing like musicals and opera. I'm like, I can't even stand that stuff. Like, I'm never doing that. But then as I was getting older, I got like into like a different, I was brought up on ABBA, Olivia Newton-John, Cliff Richard. So I was a ballad boy. I, unlike you, think that if I was born 20 years earlier, I would have been kicking arse of some. I mean, like Val Doonican and all the people, the crooners of that time. I would have been doing that, man. But I would have been a little bit more like bad boy with it. But I wouldn't have had like a tweed sweater. I would have made like dungarees or something. But particularly bad, but yeah. So I was born 20 years too late. I think I would have been a lot more famous if I was one of the old style Des O'Connor crooner kind of.
Yeah.
But no, but I was kind of, now I'm just like, I sing a bit. I spoke to a friend of mine who was in like the Canadian Tenors, amazing classical opera singer, and he just like with COVID, he's like, you know what, sod it, I want to go London, I'm going to Abbey Road, I'm going to record The Winner Takes It All by ABBA with the London Symphony Orchestra.
Oh wow.
And that's what he did. I'm like, that's perfect, man. He goes, because before he would always have to be this kind of perfect tenor doing classical and opera. Now we can go and do a pop track, as long as he's staying true to his loves and, you know, and his passion and his authenticity. And he rocked it, man. The song was beautiful, like really, really beautiful. So the question I want to ask you is, if you wasn't singing the music you were singing, would you choose another genre? Or have you particularly picked that genre because you know that's what resonates with your voice and how you sound the best? But like, if I had my way, I would sound like Whitney Houston, you know, but I'm obviously never going to sound like Whitney, you know, so I just have to be as true to JAden singing, I want to run to you, you know, but I'm not going to sound like her. But if I could be another singer, I will come back with that kind of voice. Are you happy with your voice? Are you happy, or would you, you know, with your genre, or would you change it if you could?
That's a very good question, actually. I don't think anyone's ever asked me that before. I think now at this stage in my life, I'm happy. I think I can say that honestly. I spent many years trying to be anything other than myself. I love Christina Aguilera, for example, so I'd try and do like what she does. And I would try to sound more pop, because I had people telling me, you've got to sound more pop because we don't know what to do with you. You sound too different. You sound weird, you know. And I tried to change my voice. I would write different songs, in a different style, trying to be something other than me. And it just didn't work. And like I was saying with Catch-22 earlier, that was the time where I was just like, you know what, whatever, I really don't care anymore. I have to be myself. And yes, I have a slightly different sounding voice. But that's fine, because to me, I don't want to sound like anyone else. I want to sound like me. I want people to hear it and go, that's Nathalie. That's not, I don't want them to go, oh, who's that? You know, because the artists I love, I can hear a Whitney song, I can hear a Christina song and know it's them a mile off. And that's what I want. So I think I can say I am happy. Yeah.
I kind of got into what some of the artists in the Philippines are just. I was recording a song by a guy called Martin Niviera or something. A really, really beautiful ballad in Tagalog. And I was that kind of went from that YouTube video to this particular artist. And I was like, oh my God, they sound amazing. But if you closed your eyes and sat back, you didn't know if that was Whitney or Beyonce. Yeah. Like really, they were phenomenal singers. Yeah. But they all sounded, not all of them, because that's generalizing, but the ones that I was watching was like, wow, girl, you can sing like thousands in the auditorium, but you sound like Whitney Houston. And you're singing Whitney Houston sounding like Whitney Houston. Yeah. You know, or Beyonce or Christina. I'm like, I would love to be able to do that, don't get me wrong, but I also want someone to go, I want to be singing like JAden one day. Yeah, exactly. And you know, but it's also really nice to, so I take from the artists I love. Cool. So if there's a Christina riff I want, I will learn it. I might adapt it a little bit and do something different for my song. Or if Whitney does something, I'll try and copy it, and like tones and whatever it is, I will learn from the people that I love, you know, like Freddie I listen to all the time. I try and do stuff like he does a lot of the time. Wow. And it's paying tribute to our favorite artists, and they would have done the same thing with the people they loved as well, you know. So there's nothing wrong with doing that, but ultimately I think I would like to be recognized for my sort of unique style or songs or whatever it is, you know. And people go, I need to YouTube Nathalie Miranda because she's done this really great riff in this. That would be so cool, man. I obviously, because I'm a lot older, I was chucked out the choir for not being able to sing and for being tone deaf, and I was the shyest kid. So in like 40 students, I was the shortest one that looked like Harry Potter, big National Health glasses, and haircut. And I would be at the back. So no one could even see me, but I still thought I was going to faint because I was so nervous. And then I got into, and I'm hoping you've heard of her because she's a legend, but Karen Carpenter. Oh my God, I love Carpenters. Oh my God. And I couldn't sing, but I got a little bit too into her, and you know, and kind of end up with anorexia. However, I was really, really, really into her, and how she was like, I would sing like, I'm going to the shop to get my eggs and a loaf of bread. You know, that's how I was singing. And I listened to her, she's like, when I was young, how she would like just ebb and flow with her voice.
Yes,
The warmth,
exactly.
and I was like, so I would listen all the time. There's a kind of hush all over the world. I'm like, oh my God. But it was by being into her. She was my actual, she'd been dead years before I got into her, but she was probably my main vocal tutor.
Yeah.
If I'm honest, because she was someone that moved me with her voice.
Yes.
And like you were saying, like you hear Christina and go, oh my God, that was banging the way you improvise that bit. So you will take that and make it Nathalie Miranda as well. And like you said, yeah, you do that. I'm sure painters look at artists and paintings and go, yeah, I love how he done that stroke and now it looks like a peacock.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do that now. I think we all isn't it something like replication is a form of flattery or something like that? I can't remember.
Imitation.
Yeah, so I guess as long as you do it, but like, the theme that's running through this show is be authentic and be yourself. I think, why not, mate? But if you're going to stand there in a sequin ball gown and sing I Want to Run to You exactly as, we don't need another one of that because Whitney does
exactly.
Yeah. So I'm kind of guessing by the type of person you are and by the artists that you've mentioned so far that your listening genre is quite big.
Yes.
Who would you say would be the weirdest or most random artist or music that you're into? And I don't mean weird or random in a bad way, just like not Freddie Mercury.
I really like Enya, actually.
Oh my God, Enya is amazing.
Yeah, I think she's very underrated.
Yeah,
but because it's very niche, but she's so talented and her music is so beautiful.
So ethereal. Oh my God, it's like journeying.
It's just stunning. I haven't listened to her in a while, but that is probably one of the most sort of random ones that I would listen to. Yeah.
Well, no, we've got pretty much the same type of taste in music. I kind of love that. Yeah, I was kind of going to say like Mongolian throat singing or something like.
Oh no.
Really random. So we've discovered a bit about your past and how it all stemmed from karaoke, and now we discover what you're doing now. What is 2023 and beyond holding for Nathalie Miranda?
Well, I mean, I'd like to release three original singles. I've released 2 cover singles in the past, and I might sort of dabble with another one if I have time this year. There's always dance collaborations going on as well. There's lots of different house producers that I work with, and we collaborate, and they're sort of rolling throughout every year, so that they just come out.
Wow, amazing.
So that they've been really good for me as well. But I mean, ultimately, I would really love to get a band, like a 4-piece band together. I've never had a kind of permanent setup. So every time I do an originals gig over here, it's either with my own backing tracks or a friend of mine that will play keyboards, just for that gig, and they do it out of the kindness of their heart. Like I don't have to pay them a fee or anything, but that's the thing. You see, if I had got a band together, obviously I would have to pay, musicians' fees, which I can't afford to do. So
no, because people aren't paying for musicians.
People. Yeah, that's the problem.
You're doing it because you've got to promote yourself. So
yes,
you're lucky to have this as a promotion. To the 3 regulars and a whippet.
Yeah,
watching you, but you're lucky because this is all about promotion.
I know, it's terrible, and so like if the event was paid, obviously I would pay the band, but the event is never paid for originals. So that's what I would really love to do, and I'd love to just go out there with a live setup, because I think my music it needs to be heard with the full lineup. It sounds great acoustic as well, but it's never the same thing without the drums and the bass and
the energy that each instrument brings to that event.
Exactly. And I'm a really physical performer as well. So when I'm doing my thing and I've got a guitar, just an acoustic guitarist, it's not the same thing. I need the whole thing. So I would love to do that, but I would rather work on music, get some great music out there, keep creating. Hopefully it will hit someone's ears and they'll be like, hey, we really want to see you live. We need a band. Let's get a band together. You know what I mean? So I would rather stop wasting my sort of thoughts on that and just make the music, get the content of the music out there, and just see what happens.
The words build it and they will come.
Exactly.
I've been building for 32 years now. My dream is the opposite. I've done classical crossover. I met an amazing rapper, singer, songwriter here called Black Sicano. He's like Mexican and black. Really, like, the stuff that he comes out of his stable is just gold. Like, he does reggaeton. And he's like, let's do something like reggaeton. I'm like, no, darling, I couldn't possibly. I'm a classical artist. And he's like, all right, let's do it. So we co-wrote this track called Without Me, or Without You.
Okay.
We've done it already. And we recorded it, and I was like, oh my God, I really miss doing this. And we shot a video where I live and in my garden, and I live in a stunningly beautiful place literally just on the Caribbean Sea. So I'm very lucky. It's not easy, but I'm very lucky to live here. But so we shot this really lovely video. It's on my YouTube if you get a chance to see it. And I was like, oh my God. And it felt as if it was only like 3.5 weeks since I shot my video in the 90s. When everything felt the same. Like, JAden was back. JAden was doing it.
Yeah.
And then I watched it back and I was like, what the fuck is my father doing in that video? I'm just like, when did pretty skinny JAden become like a beer-bellied suit wearer? Like, just like, so now I need to be making a lot more music videos to get used to the new JAden. But for me, my dream is I want a little mini orchestra. I would like to go back to classical crossover, but with like a proper, like a harpist, violinist, guitar. Do you know what I mean? Like,
my God.
Mini orchestra. That would be my dream, to kind of do that, because I reckon I can pull it off pretty well.
Definitely. And it also makes it's so different. Like, I don't think people understand, like, when you're on stage surrounded by live musicians, like, not a backing track, it makes it, everything just kind of fits together. Completely. And when you've got the audience there as well, it's just like the perfect combination,
Yeah,
and it's
completely. I don't know if you're the same as well. When I was in my pop band in the 90s, I was with my 3 besties. We had a blast. Like, everything was funny, from stopping at a service station and giving out flyers to like sat in a studio, had been recording for 8 hours. It was now 4 a.m. and hysteria's kicking in. So we're just randomly laughing at nothing. But you're with your besties. It's quite a lonely operation when you're doing everything on your own.
It really is.
Waiting at the airport for that flight, when you're checking into that hotel, when you're waiting backstage and everyone's with their group and their bands and everything, and you're just like, okay. And the energy when you've got someone to bounce off is that you know them, you know how they work. Like, if I ever forgot a lyric, which happens to me more now than it's ever done, but back in the day, if I forgot a lyric, my mate Steve and the group would know that facial expression of JAden's mean he has a lot of fucking clue what's coming up next. Because we'd done 20 gigs that day, and now I didn't know what country I was in. I didn't know what song I was singing. I was just singing. And he would be like, you got your love in that. And I'm like, yeah, thanks, Steve, for coming on. I really didn't know where I was. But and because you've got that safety, you've got that camaraderie, you've got that, they've got you. Yeah. It changes the whole energy, the whole vibe of everything. And it doesn't have to be you're working with 3 other singers, but you're working with a regular band. They just know, we need to play that 2-bar intro one more time because and we know that she's normally on it at this point. So you've got people. Well, I really pray that happens for you, because you are a phenomenal artist. You are bloody hardworking. You've got a great talent, and the world needs to be seeing way more of Nathalie Miranda. The only thing that I ask is when you're like, when Christina's doing your cover, you still consider coming on the JAden show with my 7 fans, 2 greyhounds and a collie?
Of course, anytime.
Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. And if you're ever headed out to Mexico, you've got a mate here now, so it'll be really. Do
you know what? I've never been to South America, and I do have quite a sort of Latin American fan base, especially in Brazil. So I would really love to come someday. So maybe that's something else I can.
You always have a place to crash. You can use this as your base, and then fly from. I live a little bit south of Cancun in Mexico.
Okay.
So then we literally straight line all the way down. So you can go. All right, I'll go and see JAden. Like, try the local delicacies, and then to Brazil, come back to JAden, then go to Costa Rica, come back. So yeah, use it for things. That'd be fantastic. And then we can do some. I've got a little studio here, so we can do a little couple of collaborations in the stopovers. That would be really
in the stopovers. Yeah, I would love to do that. So
right.
I'll see how the year plans out.
Yeah, let's play it 24, 25. You're on. Okay. Right then, darling girl. Thank you so much for being part of my show. You are a legend, and I'm such a fan now. And I wish you untold amounts of luck, love, and success.
Thank you, JAden. Thank you.
And we will talk again soon.
Okay, see ya.
Take care, hon. Bye-bye. She is so bloody lovely. What an artist, what a human, what a lovely, lovely, lovely lady. I hope you enjoyed this show as much as I did. It was really, really great to catch up with Nathalie and to introduce her to you. So please go and follow her on all of her social media platforms, and go and download every single piece of music you can find from that girl. All her social media platforms and her music download and streaming sites were running through the whole interview. So you can always go back and watch again to make sure you've got everything. I'm going to leave you now, but before I leave you, I want to say thank you for watching my show today. Please come and see me on other social media platforms as well. I'm everywhere: TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. So come and find me, JAden Cornelius, on those platforms as well, and come and say hello. Thank you for watching. Thank you for spending your Sunday with me. It's been bloody wonderful. And I'm going to leave you now with yet another song from the amazing Nathalie Miranda. This is called Back to Life. I will see you next week on the JAden Show. Stay beautiful. Bye-bye.
I keep on running into the night, searching for something, 'cause there ain't nothing that I'm leaving behind. The heat is rising, I'm realizing there's a long road ahead. I keep on trying, something inside me pushing me to the edge, into the unknown. Now I'm breaking free, I can finally be the real me, 'cause ain't nobody gonna hold me down no more. I'm bringing me back to life, I'm bringing me back to life. Ain't gonna stop, I got a whole world to explore. I'm bringing me back to life, back to life. No hesitating, 'cause I've been waiting for this moment in time. Intoxicated, I'm liberated, and I feel so alive.